Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our second upper bracket semi-final here in the Marvel Rivals Championship for PC in Asia. We have the former Gen.G Academy, now known as Need Sponsor. And they are against the former Euphoria, LOBELIA. It's a couple of roster and org changes throughout Asia throughout this tournament. It seems like for every org Asia has lost, NA seems to have gathered another one. But here we go. Heading into round number 1 in this best of 5. We are heading to Royal Palace. We're starting off with LOBELIA, banning out Magneto. The big dog of the Vanguards this season, along with Groot. Hawkeye is going to be taken out by Need Sponsor. And we were talking about it, Groot going to get protected right off the bat here. Such a dominant tank this season. Has been counted out pretty hard a couple times, but is still like the go-to. Hela going to be protected as well with Hawkeye removed. We're going to see LOBELIA wanting to make sure they get as much protection for their side as possible. Phoenix is pretty godlike. The Morn is banned out, as is Adam Warlock, not wanting to deal with that at all.
Pick your hero or villain. I'm not judging.
We're getting set up here immediately. Winter Soldier, Hela being prepared by LOBELIA. Need Sponsor deciding against it. We'll have to see how well that goes for them as we are getting ready to head on in. Cadia, by the way, former champion for Season 0. We've also got a couple players from second place all the way down to the top 32. These are some of the best players in Asia right now, and they are getting ready to head on into game number 1. Let us introduce the players. My throat just absolutely died there for a moment. Let's get this going. On the left-hand side, in the blue trunks, it is Need Sponsor with Cadia playing the Winter Soldier. I'm on the wrong layer. There we go. JT3 TTV playing on the Doctor Strange. Z or XZ, and we're going to call them Z, playing the Mantis. Dotary98 on the Lunar Snow. Snake is playing the Rocket Raccoon. And Zoon is bringing out the Groot. And on the right-hand side, in the red trunks, it is LOBELIA with Rocco playing the Hela. We have Grapefruit playing the Loki. Felix is on the Star-Lord. On Centere, I assume that's how you pronounce that one. On Centere on the Doctor Strange. Anos. Or a nose. We're going to go with a nose. A nose. Hard S. 2 S's. Going to be on the Lunar Snow. And Solmin is bringing out the Mantis and helping their team set up as they are snowballing through here. Rocco does fall, but so does the entirety of Need Sponsor. Cadia trying to back away, taking a lot of damage. Will be able to get out of danger. Cadia and Zoon barely standing. The BRB bringing Zoon back into the fight. But LOBELIA taking control at this early stage. Cadia pushing on in. Soldier's Fist trying to take out the Strange. Kraken Impact right off the bat, but Regeneration Domain, they want to try and take out the Loki clone. They will get it, which allows for the first reset of the fight. But they need the damage happen. They get it! Finally the reset onto Solmin. Looking for another Loki clone to keep the resets going so that they can push their focus onto Doctor Strange. Diving deep does not reach, shut down by Anos. But Need Sponsor claim back control, taking it away from LOBELIA. As Felix forced to retreat up to the high ground. Dropping a fair amount of damage. Running the Star-Lord here without an Adam Warlock. It's still one of the best damage dealer here, but it's weird not seeing a team go for the Winter Soldier. Need Sponsor going with that triple strategist style. LOBELIA sticking with a standard. Not even a standard here. They're going with a 1-2-3. Single Vanguard, really relying on Centere as Felix comes in from behind, taking out Z and Snake. And if you can remove the strategist, this is how they can try and turn this round. But Dotary is keeping the team topped up. Z returns from the BRB just in time before Snake went down. And Felix unable to find any more eliminations. In fact, it's going to be the counter as Cadia picks up 2. Doing a fantastic job here. The BRBs have been on point here. Snake been getting some insane value from these. Starting to pressure in. Trying to zone them away. Got to be careful, though. Rocco on that Hela could seriously zone them out if they're not careful. Although Hela, Astral flocking back. Rocco weakening here. Solomon dropped immediately with the Soul Rejuvenation. Kraken Impact gets used. No one left to reset off of here. Rocco disengaging, but Solomon just got wiped out through their ultimate. Phoenix also taken down, and the rotation down to the low ground without the Hela on the point here means we're going to see once again a numbers advantage. Flag coming in from Rocco to try and contest it into the fate of both worlds, but it does not matter. Cadia absolutely deleting everyone in their path here. It's 74 to 47 right now as Need Sponsor are holding the line. We don't see solo Vanguard for a reason. Every time Onset Array gets taken out, where's the follow-up? Who is going to protect that backline once you lose that Doctor Strange? And we are seeing that Strange getting taken out. It's not like you can just say they won't because we have the protection, because Cadia with infinite ammo from the ammo adventure from Rocket is being able to burn through anyone. Zood dropping low, Blaster Mirage, Eye of Agamotto, sidestepped by Felix so they can get out the way, but it does not matter. Felix trying to hold the line, but they go down. Cadia is still uncontested, wiping off the board. And that is going to be round number 1 of game 1. Going over to Need Sponsor. We're getting ready for Odin's Archive as round number 2. Are we seeing compositional adjustments? Yes, we are, but not to pick up a second Vanguard for Lobelia. They're going to bring out the Punisher instead of the Star-Lord, and Rocket currently on the board. Now, will this make it out of Spawn is the question.
Not for sale. What, are you kidding? Everything's for sale. Maybe for other people, not for me.
Locked on in. No changes at all for Need Sponsor. Why switch what isn't broken? Zood already has that straggling prison on Senaray. With that Eye of Agamotto at the ready. Cadia almost with Kraken Impact. Dotary almost with the fate of both worlds. And Solomon closing in on that Soul Rejuvenation. No portal for either team. Both teams just making their way up to the high ground. And Felix did, in fact, make it out of base. They're stealing their own rocket strat here, using the Punisher instead of the Winter Soldier here. Going for a little bit of attrition. And, of course, that damage to burst through Groot walls can be incredibly useful. Punisher absolutely melts Groot walls. There's the ammo invention, taking out Cadia. And it's working beautifully. This adjustment for Lobelia. But the BRB brings Cadia back into the fight. Fate of both worlds was already burned. Eye of Agamotto drops, but does not find any more targets here. Trying to push on through. And Felix, uncontested up here, is going to make their way down to the low ground. Gets immediately straggling prisoned and Kraken impacted. Cadia with the pickup, looking for more. Trying to get the reset onto Mantis, but can't find the finishing blow. So turns their attention onto Strange, who will go down. Felix does return from the BRB, but is forced to be backing up as they are incredibly zoned away. Smoke bomb to get out of danger. Need Sponsor poking in. If Rocco can land a headshot or two, although Rocco is on the flank here, approaching in from below. No Goddess of Death available here. Looking to try and pick up anyone on the flank. Portal to try and close them off here. They are now trapped in here. Trapped off the point, meaning Rocco can just take this. Yeah, Rocco just gets this for free. That is fascinating. Meanwhile, the battle up top, as Morocco claims the point, their team is getting absolutely wiped. While they can't touch the point, they are super outnumbered. Lobelia will fall, and Rocco left alone on the point here, trying to take the duel, but they are outnumbered. They will get a pickup, though, at least getting a 1 elimination. And the point claimed back. I mean, I love the play of sneaking Rocco onto the point, but their entire team went down for it. I feel like maybe a little bit more coordination could have achieved that a little bit better. Could have reacted and timed it with the ultimate so they could get onto the point and then ult from behind through the gap in the portals. But we do not see that this time. The culling turret from Felix. Smoke bomb down to the low ground. They're really trying to just melt through this front line here. Lead sponsor holding the line, but LOBELIA sieging in. This is where LOBELIA do quite well. This Punisher doing so much damage. Rocco goes down, comes back at the BRB. The Punisher siege doing quite well. 88%, 89. Infinite ammo invention. Onto the point, trying to take out any of those frontliners. Ayamoto onto the high ground though, and Felix is obliterated. On the point, on Center, trying to hold the line. Rocco flying off to the side, focused down, and with a tainted shock, wiped off the board. No one is left. And that's going to be round number 2 and game number 1 going over to Need Sponsor. Convincing fashion. And LOBELIA running this solo Vanguard composition. There's some moments of brilliance. The portal to try and block the team off, to try and set their team up for victory. But in the end, only having that single Vanguard made the team a little bit too vulnerable. And Cadia capitalizing. 1-0 to Need Sponsor. Looking at some of the statistics here. Top eliminations, 25 for JT3. 8 of those being final hits. MVP though, 22 eliminations for Cadia, 11 of which being final hits. That is one short of the entire other team's eliminations put together. As added up, they are 12. Least amount of times getting eliminated, Zune. The reason we swapped to the Punisher to try and burn through those group walls, maybe make them a bit more vulnerable, and yet they did not get Zune once. As such, Zune achieving 2nd place in the damage blocks, but we'll start off with damage. 16k for 2 characters here. Phoenix with 16.6, just beating out Cadia with 16.1. So Phoenix does do the top damage in this game between the Star-Lord and the Punisher. Damage blocked. On Center, you're the solo tank, you're going to have the most damage blocks, but only 3k more than Zune. And only 7k more than JT3. They still add up to way more damage blocked overall. And your team is not picking up the slack. If you look at the difference here, 6, 5, 6, 3, 5. And then you look at the rest of Need Sponsor. 8, 4, 2, and 3. Yes, it's lower, but it's more than made up for by JT3 and Zune. And top healing. We're going to be seeing almost identical here, except for Dotary, who sneaks on in. Z actually healing very low here. Only 7k, which is half of what Dotary got, who did get the most healing with 15k. But Z also got 4 times as much, almost 3 times as much damage here, with 8k damage. Way more than any other strategist in the game. Doing huge work for final hits. They were putting in their value elsewhere. And with that, a lead has been established in our best of 5 here. Need Sponsor sneaking out ahead away from LOBELIA here. Remember, winner moves on to that upper bracket finals, where they will meet the team who we saw victory achieved from last time. They've named them Uprise here. I know it's not Uprise. That's silly. I'm checking my own video names. New Moon. I'm calling them what they're called in-game, not what Wikipedia is just randomly naming them, it seems. Trying to keep the names up here. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of match number 1. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to this video. We are less than 100 subs away from that 5k sub goal, which when we hit, I will be starting to live stream. I'll be doing tournaments. If there's Twitch rivals or anything like that, I'll jump on that. At the time of me recording, we are on 4,907. You can help with this by liking the video, by dropping a subscription, ringing the bell, by sharing the video with your Discord group or with anyone who you think might be interested. Clipping the video also apparently helps a fair amount. And leaving a comment with something algorithm friendly. I don't know, talk about Thunderbolts. Is that good? Minecraft movie? Did that work? I have no idea. I haven't even seen the reviews yet. Leave something algorithm friendly. Help me fight the robot algorithm so that I can keep growing this channel and keep releasing videos for all of you. Just so you all know, we're going to be heading into North America as our 2nd region, and then we're going to be doing Europe after that. That is the order we will be covering these games in. For now, though, let's get ourselves set up for map number 2 in this best of 5 series. See you all in but a moment.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain. Pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane. Pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less. Your check as I'm chess, what's happening next? Yeah. You got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson. He got a new engine from pain, it's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold an obsession. All in his possession, you got their attention. I'll leave an impression and take your redemption. Just kill no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free.
And we are back for round number 2. Need sponsor still on the left. LOBELIA are on the right as we're heading into Midtown in the Empire of Eternal Night. And need sponsor will be starting on defense. LOBELIA starting off the ban phase. They ban out the Groot. Trying to limit Zune here. Down goes that Hawkeye once again. Luna Snow going to be protected. Keeping those options open. Doltery did some huge work last time. Adam Warlock will be protected this time. Was banned out last time. LOBELIA looking to try and sneak it in. And it looks like LOBELIA may actually be looking to go for a double Vanguard composition this time, as they are hovering one with Onset Array and Grapefruit. Third ban. What are we going to see removed? We take out the Winter Soldier, trying to take Cadia off of some of their favorites here. Cadia is an incredible Hela player, though, so I would not be too surprised. Or even Namor. Their Namor is next level, actually. And with Luna Snow protected, that could be a huge pickup for them. What do we see? They banned the Hela. The sponsor choosing not to go down the obvious route. Keep it mixed up. We're going to see the Adam Warlock come out as Zai will be bringing out the Star-Lord here. Is this a double strategist instead of a triple? No, it's going to be Cadia swapping over to the Mantis. Very interesting. Cadia playing a character that actually plays quite similar in terms of how quickly their projectiles move to that Winter Soldier, and also the damage output, as we saw earlier, can be extremely effective here. So it'll be G this time busting out the damage dealer, and they're still going to go for that double Vanguard play with Zune, giving them a little bit of dive potential. Thinking about the Venom.
They'll be coming in 30 seconds.
No emotes yet, disappointing. And no Fanta. Going to be rolling out for the team. And Snake, despite not having any of the soldiers, is still bringing back the rocket. Lead sponsor getting some, putting a little bit of faith onto that Rocket Raccoon. Bringing it in as the third damage, and not bringing Adam Warlock. They choose Rocket over Adam Warlock, meaning that Z does not get that free cocoon. Rocco also bringing in the Star-Lord. Difference is Felix is going to be bringing in Adam Warlock for them. So they are running a 2-1-3. Adjusting since last game and putting a lot of faith onto Rocco once again. Grapefruit going to be keeping the team topped up. Pressure being applied. Zune trying to get a little bit of zoning, trying to apply some pressure. Portal coming in on Centeray, trying to cut off that ambush angle so that they can take control of this high ground, pushing on in right away. Sorry about the stutter we're getting here. Try to push on in. Try to apply the pressure. Cadia getting some good damage, getting dove by Strange, immediately getting countered out here with the Slumber, giving them a couple seconds to get away. That's going to allow them to sustain on through this fight as G moves on in with the damage buff from the ally inspiration, trying to get onto that backline. Not enough to land a finishing blow, but it's still setting up quite nicely. Nice pickup, there it is. Taking out Rocco in the duel, using that metallic bulwark to allow them to turn around. Position still being held, only at 47 meters right now. Need Sponsor keeping a solid hold on this. Here comes the Galactic Legend from Rocco to try and burst on through. They've got the damage burst, Meteor M to absorb at least some of the damage. JT3 dropping low, self-shield, Blaster Barrage as the ultimate expires. Soulbond to keep them going as Rocco plays low down next to their teammates. Tries to contest, but is getting focused down, picked off, but immediately brought back at the Karmic Revival. We're seeing the revive also from Snake, bringing back JT3 into the battle. And try and contest it. Grapefruit, Meteor M takes out 2 here. Zia Dotary goes down, no BRB this time. Zoon is trying to buy time, trying to delay. They're going to fall, but they bought a lot of time for their team. They didn't even get the Symbiotic Resilience off, as they just got burst so hard at the end there. Still no Adam Warlock. Just trusting as against the team here.
There's still a chance to stop them.
Phoenix still going to be bringing that in. Cosmic Clusters. Trying to get a little bit of burst potential, see if they can take down any of the approaching members. Zoon into the backline. Immediately going to try and drop some of the attention as we see dueling Galactic Legends trying to get onto Rocco. But look at the positioning from Onsenare, allowing all of that protection onto Rocco, who takes the duel in style here into the backline. Point is taken, and it's a triple for Lobelia. Need Sponsor are getting absolutely bodied here, and Rocco chasing so deep here, trying to get through that front line. They chase them all the way back to that tier 2.
Some assistance, please.
And Need Sponsor on the back foot. Lobelia are snowballing through this right now. Sia is available for Snake. Eats one Cosmic, eats one Magic. Quantum Magic. I keep wanting to call it Cosmic Magic, but that is the right click. Sia coming out, giving the team the top up here as Lobelia are wiped off the board here. Absolute devastation. Whoa, soon. Going for a ride there. Rocco barely escaping. Portal coming out from Onsenare. Going up to the high ground. Going to keep it in cover a little bit. Give them a bit of a wraparound position here.
That one hurts.
Grapefruit keeping the team topped up as they make their way in. Zoon already up above. Frenzied Arrival into the back line, but it's going to be mashed by Soulmin with their own Soul Rejuvenation. But Meteor M from JT3 shuts it down. But Felix is going to be matching that with their Karmic Revival. Ayavakamoto going to be coming out from Onsenare to try and get the opportunity to push on through. And it may have done so as Rocco and Grapefruit are cleaning out Need Sponsor. JT3 dropping Rocco low, but they are just too outnumbered. Lobelia take the fight and move into the defensive position to try and close out and block Need Sponsor from coming in to contest. A little bit of side harassment, making some space. Lobelia really trying to push on in. They are ultless right now, whereas Karmic Revival not available. We do have the Fate of Both Worlds and the Galactic Legend for Z absolutely bodied. Onsenare takes them out. Zoon goes down, and Need Sponsor are just getting choked out here. Here comes the Fate of Both Worlds to try and sustain through. Dive to the backline with the Frenzied Arrival to push on through. And Z, they've got another chance to try and make this happen as they will return to the team. Sia coming out to try and give them the damage bonus they need to push on through. Holding on to that Galactic Legend here, just going to try and keep the damage output going. Galactic Legend will come in, though, from Rocco to try and take this. ANOS takes them, is taken down, though, and numbers Not looking so good for Lobelia, but they do have momentum on their side. Rocco tries to take the duel. There's the Karmic Revival, though. Once again, bringing back the team to keep this fight going. G is still holding on to their ultimate. Finally going to drop it. Timing it beautifully here. Meteorite going to be caught on the ceiling, so it will not be dropped here as Rocco is melted. NOS is melted. Sidestepping the Quantum Magic. Blaster Barrage! And G is cleaning up here. They're finally going out to Rocco, but Rocco is all alone here. They've only got their Vanguards with them, but it might be enough as Zoon is all alone. Cadia and Dotary are on the way to try and keep Zoon up. This fight actually trended out quite evenly here. Portal picked up by JT3 so they can portal back to the point so they can keep this contestant going, abandoning the Magneto so that they can hold this. Diving the backline, Zoon. They know their team is arriving back onto the point so they can try and contest this. Overtime ticking down. Galactic Legend for Rocco making their way to the point. They need to touch though, but they cannot reach in time. As usual, I forgot to stretch my jaw, and now it hurts.
Time to switch things up, including
Ah!
the ride you're on.
1.139 meters for Lobelia. They now have to lock in for this defense. That is crazy. Seeing two teams so incredibly similar, but Lobelia are the ones who are actively going for the composition that, you know, synergizes. Need sponsor. They don't have a single team up in this roster. Not one. No one is getting team up value. But the characters themselves are working. They are executing the push. And it seems to be doing the job so far. Zoom been putting on a lot of pressure. Let's actually have a look at the stats here. Long closer to game number one by a long way here. Z, 9 final hits. Rocco only with 7. But it is matching a little bit closer here. Grapefruit and JT3. Almost identical in terms of stats here. Although more damage has been blocked by JT3 and Zoon than on Ceneray and Grapefruit. See if that changes now that we head into defense here. As we are heading into the defense area, that's going to be a block, and we're not seeing the reaction that we've seen from some teams where they will pick ranged characters to try and just blast away through the gaps in the portal to take advantage of the fact that they are, yes, extremely stuck. Portal expires, and finally these spots are going to be allowed out to play. Ceneray playing the front line, dropping low already here. Healing reduction coming in as that cost of magic starts to tick up. They're able to expel it out though, meaning they're able to be healed back up to full. Trying to push on in, holding this high ground. Blaster Barrage from Rocco with the Metallic Bulwark. Looking onto the backline, retreating. Big Blaster Barrage comes in from G to try and match it. Gets absolutely melted, but the healing output is there. They're able to sustain on through as Need Sponsor look to try and push on forward. Zoon into the backline, trying to disrupt the defense. Will take out Adam, but the Cocoon is at the ready. Metallic Bulwark keeping the protection onto NOS, allowing them to tank on through this. Galactic Legend from above to try and shut down this push here. They're about to have the Fate of Both Worlds available, meaning they can use this if they want to keep this push going. As we're going to see the Seer and the Soul Rejuvenation coming in. Cadia trying to keep the team topped up so they can hold this this attack as they wipe Lobelia off the board here. Need Sponsor in control right now once again. Lobelia going to be regrouping, making their way back to the point.
This time I need healing.
They have almost all of their ultimates here. They almost have Avogoto. They almost have Karmic Revival. The only thing they're not going to have is Galactic Legend, which Z will have. Blaster Barrage with the Metallic Bulwark. Up to the high ground. Trying to focus onto Rocco. Take out the damage. Focus down, though. Chased in. Will revive at the Seer. The BRB, sorry. It will turn into a Seer as they are taken down. Rocco picked off, brought back in Cocoon. Blaster Barrage try and burn through the backline. Feast from the Abyss to try and take out Magneto to burst through some of this protection. Good evasion for Zood into the backline. Not landing it as Rocco drops their own Galactic Legend to try and burst through, matching G, and takes the jewel here. Rocco will be backing up as LOBELIA have once again repelled Need Sponsor. Holding the line as best as they can.
Get that vehicle moving again.
Up above.
60 seconds left.
And gonna portal to trap the spawn again. Keeping it on cooldown here. So now if their team can get the eliminations. Z trapped inside the spawn here, meaning that they are not here to help their team right now on Centeray. Consistently being irritating here. Buying a lot of time for LOBELIA, and that's important. There's only 30 seconds left of this push. Z has been freed. Zood gonna keep the pressure on. Eating a little bit of damage from the Star-Lord. Soul Rejuvenation coming in from Cadia as the counter push comes in. Solomon with their own healing, but with Rocco going down, Aya Magamoto to try and wipe out the attackers as Need Sponsor attacking through. Meteor M takes out Felix, but they have Cocoon, and Karmic Revival has already been dropped, meaning they can keep their team up. Numbers advantage currently in favor of LOBELIA, but Need Sponsor are rushing back in fast and are taking this fight. Galactic Legend for Rocco to try and clear this out. The last-ditch effort with Onsenray. The healing output, though. The strategists keeping each other alive. And Need Sponsor will push on into point number 1. And we're down 2 meters. 139 meters and 96 centimeters is what Need Sponsor have to do to go 2-0 up in this series. Onsenray looking very strong right now. Keeping the pressure on. Trying to break that terrain so they can set up for a re-engage. Attacking Felix in the back line to try and burst on through. Gets slumbered. Has that symbiotic resistance if they need it. Gonna hold on to it though. Another frenzied arrival. Back in. Getting healed up by the Rockets so they can contest in this fight. Holding the line. Symbiotic Resilience is burned to keep the team pushing on through. They're controlling this fight exceptionally well here. G with the Blaster Barrage. Doing some damage, trying to get through. Aya Magamoto dodged out with the roll with the invincibility frames. G trying to contest this. Rocco about to have their own Galactic Legend try and match it, but Adultery and Cadia have already fallen. We will see the retreat out of Need Sponsor. Knowing they're not winning that fight, they're 3 people down. They back up and they will reset. LOBELIA won that fight without burning too many of their ultimates. They Aya Magamoto'd, but they still have Karmic Revival, Meteor M, and Galactic Legend. Need Sponsor, they have Soul Rejuvenation, Galactic Legend, and Meteor M. Pushing on in, JT3 leading the charge. They've been doing so much work for their team this game. Zood coming into the backline once again. Z going to be the first to drop in with the Galactic Legend to try and burst on through. There's no healing ultimate. Meteor M absorbs some of it, and Z's not able to find the finishing blow. Meteor M to block out Rocco, who's sniped out of the air by the Meteor. Cadia with the Soul Rejuvenation means we are seeing a full commitment by Need Sponsor to try and wipe him off the board right now. Adam Warlock floating in with the Cocoon to try and make sure that they are a body to touch the point. Solmin's also in the back line. Gonna sneak on in, try to take the jewel, frozen and popped, but they have Cocoon. They got a touch. Making their way onto the point, trying to take him, and no one touched the point. Need Sponsor, creep it in, and they're gonna take game number 2 as well. 140 meters on the dot. And Need Sponsor are now 2-0 up in this upper bracket semi-final. Z will take the MVP there. Impressive game. "41 eliminations. 17 of which are final hits. This was absolutely G's game. 20 more eliminations than Rocco, 7 more final hits, and yet was outdamaged. Rocco, 35k damage, 9k more than Z. And yet they just weren't able to find the eliminations. And you've got to point out the difference in healing between Rocket and Adam Warlock here. Well, yeah, the Adam Warlock revives. How much value can you really put on that? It's almost infinite of how incredibly useful bringing an entire team back into a fight is. They still only healed 19k. About the same as Solmin, a little bit more than Cadia. But then you look at Dotary and Anos, 35k healing for Anos, 35 as well for Dotary, and 29 for Snake. They made up the difference. They, instead of just trying to revive the team on cooldown, they decided that the better value is to just keep the team alive in the first place and make great use of the BRB when necessary. Of course, it did do significantly less damage. The advantage of Adam Warlock is the damage output is really strong. And look at that. 20k. Only 1k less than Grapefruit. Only 6k less than G. An entire Lunar Snow less than G. That's not a lot in it. Adam did keep up. They also got 7 final hits there. But it's about actually finishing the targets. And it seems in that case, the Rocket worked out a little bit better. I'm not going to say that's going to work every time, but for this exact scenario, it worked out quite well for Need Sponsor. Top damage blocked. Going to be 48k for Oncenerain. Not even solo tagging this time. They're just that good. Least amount of times getting eliminated. Once again, it's going to be Zune almost sniping it this time, as Dotary with 4, Zune with 5. Snake, though, only getting taken out 1 time. And when your BRB is reliant on you being up for it to revive people, that is a great stat to have. And finally, top healing. We've already talked about it. It's going to be the 35Ks, but it's going to be by 200 Anos who takes the top healing numbers. That's going to be our game number 2, ladies and gentlemen. If you're enjoying, remember to subscribe. And if you are especially enjoying, consider becoming a member so you can support this channel monthly and get videos early whenever possible. Big shout out to our current members, who I'm getting the names up of right now, because last time I did this, a new one had literally appeared. So we're being careful now. Roshula, Dogi Pokey, and our longest running member, John. Thank you for helping support the channel. You can also become a member, get a shout out during the videos, and also you get the videos early, and even more than one video early when I have to go out of town for one reason or another. For example, at the start of May, I am going to be out of town for a little bit, so there are going to be like 4 to 5 extra videos going up for members early. So you'll be able to do a bit of a binge watch if you fancy that. For now, though, let's get ourselves set up for game number 3 of this best of 5. Can Need Sponsor close it out? Or will we see Lobelia beginning a resurgence, setting themselves up for a comeback and bringing it to a 2-1? Let's find out after this short break.
Somebody who could save him instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place, I want to be first. Work till it hurts, dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions in the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off from a break off from the weak minds. They can stay soft. You can change lives. You create thoughts. Never waste time. You got one shot. You got one life. Better pop off. What do you like? Make a dream job. No 9-5. No mean boss. Just my life and free thoughts. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way. What I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody and stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me. They call me a god. They call me a god. take all the pressure like I'm acing this test. Tear it up like I'm Jason. I see the world like it's ready for the taking. I see this place like a game I'm playing. Straight to the bank to collect my payments. No negotiations. It's my way. I was born impatient.
And we are back in map number 3. What could be the last map if Need Sponsor have anything to say about it. Lobelia on the back foot here in Berlin T'Challa. They're going to have to try and bring it back. Starting off with that Groot ban once again. Need Sponsor, they're keeping it up with that Hawkeye getting removed, and Luna Snow will be protected. What do we see from Lobelia? And a Warlock locked in once again. It did get some really solid work out, but it wasn't enough to claim a victory. That rocket proving a little inconvenient. Is that worth a ban? No, they're going to stick with the Winter Soldier. A little bit too intimidating in round number 1, taking it out of play. Need Sponsor. What is left? What is problematic? Last time they took out Hela. Is there anything that they want to target this time? They keep at the Hela. They're 2-0 up. They can afford to not deviate here.
Pick your hero.
Oh, that was almost instant. Need Sponsor locked in on their composition right now. Going for a 2-2-2. A little bit risky when you're running an Adam Warlock, as their healing output is a little bit lower than some of the others. But they're going to rely on Luna to make up the difference, and they're bringing in the Wolverine as their second DPS here. Lobelia, they are going with a rocket of their own, potentially, giving it a hover. ADOS is considering it. Taking a little leaf out of Need Sponsor's book, but they are going to go rocket and Adam. What's better than revives? More revives! Yeah!
Get ready.
So many potential revives on the board here. Or they could just be giving their team the BRB for those extra armor as they head on into battle. Swap over to the Mantis to combo with that Adam.
And how come everyone keeps calling me a raccoon?
The more likely option.
You are cute and badass.
Need Sponsor.
The battle starts
Looking
in
to
5,
close this out, Lobelia. Looking to try and turn this around back into their favor. And there, of course, is that Mantis coming in. Cadia doing the same. Also going to be dropping in on the Mantis. And these two teams are almost identical once again. It comes down to the difference in Vanguards. With Zune going for Venom and Onsen Ray sticking with Strange.
I like the cold.
Trying to put some pressure onto the board right away. Solomon gonna fall, but so does JT3. Rocco landing a pretty solid elimination, is playing quite aggressive here. Getting chased down. G also almost getting taken out, but still trying to duel here. Trying to get onto Grapefruit. Shields up to keep them zoned away. And Z and Rocco been going back and forth all of these games here. Taking the damage from Magneto, healed back up almost to full as Zune dives in onto the point. So there's the symbiotic resilience, tagging through, pressuring the backline. Soulbond is dropped, but it's not enough. ADOS will get will be the next one targeted here. Trying to take the 1v1 versus Venom. Will get a slumber. Headshot. Finishing blow. No! Symbiotic resilience does come off cooldown, and Zune will back away. Chases back on in with only 100 hit points. Desperately trying to escape, but it's going to be Z taking down ADOS, which will allow Zune to back away. Phoenix will fall. Solomon getting targeted down. A little bit of Avatar live stream to keep the team topped up. And they'll get healed up by the healing flower. Z keeping on the pressure. The main damage dealer for the side of Need Sponsor, who have finally dropped in the Warlock of their own. Galactic Legend coming out. Rocco going to be the first to pull the trigger. JT3 Meteor Em'd, but it's absorbed by Lobelia as Rocco's trying to take down anyone. Cadia has shut it down though with the Soul Rejuvenation. Onsen Ray will land an Eye of Agamotto, meaning they're finally going to get onto Zune, making this a 1-for-1. But that's a Karmic Revival coming out from both teams, bringing everyone back so they can try and contest this fight. still currently a 6v6 as both teams try to hold on through this. Z with their own Galactic Legend, Meteor M to absorb some of that damage, trying to get onto the backline, but the healing output from Felix is just a little too much. Snake is going to be the first person to fall as they try to make their way to the backline. Blaster Barrage to meld on through. Fate of Both Worlds is still going. It lost 12 seconds. And Z pushing on in, trying to get onto Solmid, will retreat back up to the high ground. Zoon goes down, and Z is very isolated here, will go down, and not even going to attempt a cocoon, returning to spawn. Regrouping up, making their way back into the point to try and contest. Rocco will be the last to return to spawn here. Enquiries trying to break the line. Zoon into the background. Feast from the Abyss doing very good damage. Soulbond is allowing them to sustain on through though. Meteor M from JT3 to try and turn this round, but it's blocked by Enquiries, but Enquiries will fall. Snake takes that one as well. Rocco will return thanks to the cocoon, but Z with the Galactic Legend is melting everyone this time. And that percentage is ticking up 51 to 93, 94, 95. And unless Enquiries has Portal, which they do, we're going to see one last contestation. If LOBELIA can take this, they might still be in it. Aya Vagamoto going to be completely blocked by the Fate of Both Worlds, shutting down any stuns here as they try to burst through soon. Karmic Revival brings back Rocket once again. They're going to drop that Fate of Both Worlds, chained into the Soul Rejuvenation to try and take this. Cadia also healing up their team. Dotary, Fate of Both Worlds will be chained right at the end. Karmic Revival expires. Snake still has theirs, meaning numbers will be in favor of Need Sponsor if they even need it as they're tanking through, taking out 3, 4, and 5. It's gonna be Need Sponsor taking round number 1 in map number 3. And Need Sponsor are dominating right now. Need Sponsor. One win away from making their way through to that upper bracket final to play up against New Moon. LOBELIA, one loss away from going down to that lower bracket quarterfinals. They won't be out. They'll have a chance to try and recover, to try and bring this back, but the pressure will be on here. If they lose, they will go down to play against the legit L. A strong team. Not someone you want to take lightly. But LOBELIA, if they can reverse sweep, then they still have hope. Karmic Revival, kept from last fight. Of course, cooldowns carry over when you're playing Domination. Zoon already taking a little bit of pressure. Just staying mobile, making sure their body is on the board while they look for targets, making their way in, trying to go on to Rocco, who this time is going to be the one on the Adam Warlock as Felix made their way over to the Star-Lord, already getting taken out the first time. Will come back out of the cocoon. Felix is an insane player, good damage dealer as well. They've been playing support a lot of times. This time they will bring in the DPS, forced to back away. Feast from the Abyss, Enquiries with their own Venom taking out Cadia, and we are seeing LOBELIA just straight up copying the comp of Need Sponsor and playing it beautifully, taking control of the point. But Karmic Revival from Snake brings back the rest of the team. They will get taken down by the dive, but Cocoon is available. They can try and bring this back, but that is 9% already for LOBELIA. Straight up copyright infringement, but they are going to try and execute it. At this point, they need to try literally anything to try and turn this round. Soon sustaining in, Meteor M from JT3, but that's going to be blocked out by the damage from the Soul Bonds, giving them that damage reduction. JT3 is tanking on through. Karmic Revival from Rocco to bring back Felix so they can keep contesting this point. That's going to be a Fate of Both Worlds. from Dotori and Solomon to try and take this in. Rocco reviving their team. Here comes the Galactic Legend, though. Rocco will fall, and Zune picks up the double. Grabbing one more right at the end, getting Grapefruit, and Ray unable to hold the point, but they get 50%. Lobelia halfway towards redemption here. Trying to take the duel. Not able to land the finishing blow. Felix playing quite safe here. Looking for the duel. Dropping low. Has to get that metallic bulwark to get out of danger. Ray has Feast from the Abyss. Could try and make their way onto the point here. Playing safe. Going all the way around here. They want the engage angle, but they want to make sure their team is here for it. Frenzied Arrival. Deep on in. Frozen out. But they're in a little bit of trouble. Dotori shut down that engage. They're a little bit split from the team. They try to make their way onto Snake. Another dive coming in. Galactic Legend, Soul Bonds to keep the team topped up. They turn their attention. Look at the auto cancels here to maximize close range damage output. When you got that big of a hitbox, auto cancels for maximum burst damage, and Need Sponsor have overtaken Lobelia. Onto Ray, back onto Strange. Going to be portaling their team in. Where are they portaling? Where are they portaling? I see 2 or 3 members there. They're going to use it to try and block them out so they can't reinforce their allies. Great strategy here. They're going to be able to get onto the point, and they get a quick pickup here. Looking in for the Meteor M from JT3 to try and turn this round. But Karmic Revival brings back the first eliminated members. Rocco, Solmid, and Anoes go down. But Rocco and Anoes are able to revive thanks to the Cocoon, but they are outnumbered here. As down goes Grapefruit. Onsen Ray falls. Rocco goes down again. And with Galactic Legend, not even really needed here. They're trying to chase down Felix. And will get that elimination. And Need Sponsor bring it home. In a convincing semi-final, Need Sponsor take a solid 3-0.
Another epic victory.
Nicely done. Z grabbing MVP once again on that Star-Lord. And the 3-0 is achieved by Need Sponsor. And you know what? I think they deserve one. They are now in that upper bracket final. They are guaranteed at least 3rd place. And if they win that upper bracket final, they are guaranteed at least 2nd place, as they'll be in the grand final. 1 series away now. It's possible. Lobelia, though, they are not out yet. They will be heading down to that lower bracket quarterfinals, as we said earlier, where they will have to try and earn their keep. Try and fight their way back into this top 3. We've got the lower bracket semis, lower bracket quarters, lower bracket semis, and then the lower bracket finals. So while Need Sponsor only need to play 1 more series to make it to the grand final, Lobelia now need to play 3 just to be within with a shot at that grand final. It's the value of the upper bracket. But it is doable. They're not out yet. They can go away, they can rest for a moment, and come back in for the next series. This would all have been played on the same day when it happened live, which, once I hit that 5,000 subs, maybe I'll be streaming the next one. We will see. Or if NetEase wants to send me an email and be like, hello, we enjoy your work. Please come cast for us. And I will be like, yes, I would very much like to do that. 33 eliminations, 15 of which were final hits. That is just less, once again, than the entire elimination count for the side of Lobelia, as they got 18 total eliminations. Damage done, 23k. Finally, being able to beat out Felix and Rocco. Top damage blocked. No surprise there. Onsen Ray continuing to dominate that number, 30k. Close, though, for Grapefruit this time, 27k. And top healing this time will be Dotori with 26k. Doing great work there. And talk about the Adam. Once again, Snake bringing out the Adam Warlock off their own here. 12k damage. Doing some pretty good work. Cadia, 10k damage, 11k healing. They really seem to like playing these Mantis and the Adam Warlocks as almost pseudo damage dealers. Seems to be working for them. But that is it for today's semi-final. Tomorrow, we will be starting with... which order are we going to do this in? Are we going to do this in upper bracket first and then lower bracket? I think we probably go upper bracket... No, we go lower brackets, quarters and semis. And then we do upper bracket final, then lower bracket final. I think that's probably the sensible choice. So yeah, tomorrow we will have our first lower bracket quarter final, where we are going to have XOXO01 versus Influenza G. The day after that, we will have Lobelia versus Legit L. Day after that, we will have that lower bracket semi-final, then our upper bracket final, then our lower bracket final, followed by our grand final. If you're excited, then drop a subscription and ring that bell so you can see when these games go live. And if you really want to be supportive, send a thanks, one-time donation, or hit join so that you can get these videos early. For now, though, I have been Tetcher. I have been your caster, your independent boy, open to sponsors, open to anything. I want to run a tournament. If anyone wants to sponsor a tournament, let me know. I would love to run a little invite-only tournament. Would be awesome. But for now, thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all tomorrow.